Welcome back to our study called Say You're My Sister, and we're looking at Genesis 12, and today we're looking at verses 14 through 17. And I call this section the faithful because there's a contrast here. There's a faithful one, and then there's an unfaithful one. And we can kind of guess who's who here. But we see here that Abram fails, right? The couple enter into Egypt, and in a self-fulfilling prophecy, Sarai's beauty is noticed. She tells everyone that Abram is her brother, and she's taken into Pharaoh's house. And just as Abram plans, he gets the good end of the deal, of course, right? Pharaoh treats Abram well and gives him sheep, oxen, and donkeys, camels, and servants. Abram makes out like a prince, but Sarai, his wife, the one by which the promised offspring is to come, is gone. Remember, the prosperity is not always a reward for the faithful. This is the reason that some struggle with the idea that Abram has done anything wrong here. Abram has saved the life of Sarai, and he got a bunch of stuff. What's the problem, right? All's good. No, see, really, Abram is being faithless here. He's not trusting in God that he would take care of him. He's making his own way. He's trying to figure out his own way to solve the problem. He's not trusting that God will solve the problem. So, we see next that God is faithful, though. The problem is that Abram has traded the promise of God for, in his eyes, what is more of a sure thing. You know, God's promise, but what I can do, that's definitely a good thing. So, God promised that he would be a great nation, but Abram's actions really have placed that promise in danger now. Though Abram has done this, God is still faithful. How do we know that God has a problem with what's going on? Well, the Bible tells us that the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai. See, where Abram failed to protect his wife, God is faithful. God's plan will not be thwarted by a cowardly Abram or an idol-worshipping Pharaoh. The promised offspring will come through Sarai. God is faithful, and he will not fail. See, that's how we know that there's a problem, because if there wasn't a problem, why would God strike Pharaoh with plagues? It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, God has an issue with what Pharaoh's doing. God has an issue with what Abram has done, because now he's switching things up on him, right? Abram had a plan. It was working. But God says, stop. I'm switching things up. And so we see God obviously has a problem with both of these men and what they're doing. And so he changes the whole situation. He intervenes, makes everything different now. Instead of Abram's hanging out in Egypt, getting all this good stuff, Sarai's over there with the Pharaoh. Says, stop, nope, time out. We're going to reset this thing. And that's what God does. Changes everything up. So next time we'll see what happens after God intervenes.